There have always been many historical mysteries in the world. Fortunately, the answers to many of them are almost right under our noses, or rather, under our feet. Archaeology has opened up avenues to understanding our origins through artifacts, documents, and other things. Archaeologists are still tirelessly discovering new traces of the past, revealing the truth. In today's video, you will learn about the most interesting discoveries made by archaeologists. Lost Mayan cities. Not long ago, in 2019, an international team of scientists from America, France, and Guatemala discovered traces of the 2,000-year-old Mayan civilization. Researchers examined forested terrain in different areas of Guatemala using laser radar, which maps the topography beneath vegetation cover. LiDAR has identified more than 1,000 ancient settlements covering an area of 1,680 square kilometers, most of which were connected by roads and causeways. The cities were characterized by dense settlement, which contradicts the hypothesis that early populations were sparsely populated. Archaeologists have found evidence of extensive complexes and pyramids in some settlements, suggesting that some served as centers for work, recreation, and also politics. Playgrounds for ball games and other sports, which were widespread among the ancient Mayans, have been found. The Mayans also built canals and reservoirs to store water for later use during dry seasons. Traces of ancient people. Approximately 3.7 million years ago, a member of an unknown species walked through volcanic ash in what is now northern Tanzania. These footprints, preserved in volcanic ash, were discovered in 1978. But at the time, they were widely believed to be bear prints. This is the largest collection of ancient human footprints ever found on this continent. Fossil footprints are unique because they preserve evidence of human behavior and activity. Footprints are a window into the past, telling us how fast people walked, which direction they walked, and how big their feet were. We can also determine if they traveled in groups. This wealth of detail allows conclusions to be drawn about the behavior of ancient people. One of the groups of pedestrians that the researchers identified included 17 people. 14 adult women, 2 adult men, and 1 boy. Large groups of adult women rarely traveled without men and children. Scientists assumed that in this case they were foraging for food and were accompanied by several men. This discovery shows that in ancient human societies, labor was divided by gender. The women gathered food, and the men accompanied them. This resembles the current behavior of hunter-gatherer societies in Paraguay and Tanzania. The scientists hope that their findings will help other researchers who were engaged in the reconstruction of ancient patterns of behavior. Strange sculptures on the island of Nuku Hiva. The town of Temihitohua is located on the island of Nuku Hiva. It is the largest atoll of the Marquesas archipelago in French Polynesia. This island is home to the most obscure statues ever seen. And everyone who sees them wonders if they are the product of the wild imagination of ancient sculptors, or what actually landed on this island from space. According to the latest research, the first settlers arrived here 2,000 years ago from the island of Samoa. They then colonized Tahiti in Hawaii, the Cook Islands, and New Zealand. Legends say that the omnipotent deity Ono promised a wife to the one who builds a house in one day, and by folding the soil created islands and named them after the parts of the house. For example, the island of Nuku Hiva is considered a roof. At the time, the first European arrived in the area. 50,000 to 100,000 people lived on this small piece of land. When first introduced to the sculptures, the researcher notices special features. The creatures depicted on the stones have huge eyes, long, large heads, and their clothing resembles modern astronaut spacesuits. Many scientists who have examined the statues have come to the conclusion that they depict extraterrestrial creatures. In general, the statuettes can be divided into two types. Some of them depict serpentine creatures, others creatures with a toothy figure. Strikingly different in build from the first type. It is noteworthy that in most cases, the statuettes depict entire families, with women with children being more often depicted, who exactly served as the model for the sculptures on the island of Nuku Hiva. This question will probably remain unanswered forever. Herculaneum Scrolls, the famous eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, destroyed the ancient city of Pompeii. The coastal city of Herculaneum was the first to be hit by the scorching heat, literally wiped off the face of the earth. This ancient city is home to the estate of Lucius Calpurnia Pison, father-in-law of Julius Caesar. This statesman had a rich library, which experts called the Villa of Papyri. Unfortunately, all the ancient scrolls were completely charred and could not be deciphered. However, scientists have found a way, using artificial intelligence, to reveal the first words from an ancient scroll. They are now working to uncover additional words and texts contained on the scrolls. Currently, 3 lines of the scroll can be read, each containing 10 letters, and it is expected that there will be even more. The Herculaneum Scrolls are the only library that has survived from ancient times and are of great interest to researchers. Most of the texts are written in ancient Greek and can provide important information about the history and culture of the time. The discovery of such texts is considered a true treasure for historians, as it can reveal knowledge about the ancient world and history. The discovery of the first words on the Herculaneum Scrolls, thanks to artificial intelligence, is an important step in the reconstruction of ancient history. This process will continue, and scholars hope to discover more texts and reveal their significance in the context of the history and culture of the ancient world. Alien characters. In 2022, users of some social networks began to spread photographs of alleged alien figures that were allegedly found during the construction of the new railway line. It will lead through the territory of the ancient Mayan civilization in the state of Quintana Roo, Mexico. This viral information appeared a few days after the Director General of the National Tourism Development Fund announced that 2,187 historical monuments in the construction zone of the so-called May Train project will be made accessible. The railway passes through 50 archaeological zones open to the public, 10 museums, 2 heritage zones, and 5 UNESCO sites. However, some experts have pointed out that these findings contain Mexican, Peruvian, and other symbols that are not typical of Mayan culture. In addition, the figures are made of limestone. According to local experts, this stone is fragile and subject to severe erosion over time. The figures allegedly found here show no signs of damage. Simply put, these finds are not authentic and do not correspond to the given historical period. These discoveries have a logical explanation. The mass wave of tourists heading to the area was ready to buy up all the exotic and mysterious alien artifacts from the shelves of local stores. So it can be concluded that such things are discovered by small traders, and they try to extract money from poor tourists. Geoglyphs on the plains of Nasca, on the Nasca Plains in southern Peru, home to the world's most famous giant stone drawings. 143 new geoglyphs depicting people, animals, and other creatures that can only be seen from the air have been revealed. Among the drawings found are images of birds, monkeys, fish, snakes, foxes, cats, and llamas. All were created by excavations in the upper half of black stones, beneath which there is a layer of light sand. The light sand drew visible lines on the dark soil, but over time, most of them also darkened. The fact that the Nasca lines are only visible from the air has given rise to many theories about their origin and purpose, including some of the most bizarre. Most of the images found are between 5 and 50 meters in size. with the largest geoglyph being over 100 meters long. One of the drawings was only spotted in 2019, when artificial intelligence pieced together disparate fragments of lines. The age of the geoglyphs is estimated to be at least 1,700 to 2,100 years, which supports the hypothesis that they were created by representatives of the ancient Nasca civilization, or even their predecessors from the Paracas culture. The oldest of them probably marked meeting places for religious ceremonies. These patterns are the largest, each measuring over 50 meters, and there are remains of broken pottery along the lines. Smaller drawings were created 3 to 4 centuries later. Japanese scientists point out that field research is underway and call for measures to protect the drawings, which are threatened by urbanization in this part of Peru. Mummy with golden tongues. Archaeologists have discovered mummies of a man and a woman with golden tongues in the burial site of the ancient Egyptian city of Pemyok. It is not known whether the man and woman were related to each other. The graves were placed very close to each other, suggesting family ties. The man's skull is well preserved and shows a golden tongue protruding from its mouth. A long sheet of gold foil was also found in place of the woman's tongue, but the remains were preserved in a worse condition in the tomb. Scientists already know of a funerary practice in which embalmers replaced the tongues of the deceased with gold. This supposedly helped the deceased convince Osiris, the king of the underworld, to be merciful to their souls. Egyptian brewery. Many beer lovers wonder how long they have been drinking this low-alcohol beverage. Abydos, one of the most important archaeological sites, is the ruins of a city that played an important state and religious role in ancient Egypt. Many temples and a huge metropolis with tombs of the first pharaohs from the early dynastic period were discovered here. Among others, Narmer, the founder of the first dynasty, ruled from 3150 to 3125 BC. He was considered the ruler who united Upper and Lower Egypt. The discovered brewery likely dates from his era, Egyptologist Mostafa Vaziri told the media in 2021. The brewery, with a production capacity of 22,400 liters, was divided into 8 sections, each 20 meters long and 2.5 meters wide. Each of them contained about 40 clay pots in which a mixture of grain and water was heated to make beer. The Ministry of Antiquities said that British archaeologists were the first to mention the existence of the brewery in the early 20th century, but they were unable to locate him. Dr. Matthew Adams, one of the researchers who made the discovery, said that beer was likely used in the funerary rituals of the first Egyptian kings. And that's all for today, friends. Like if you liked the video, leave a comment, and see you again soon.